Hi, I'm Ruxpin. I'm just recording this video very quickly to introduce sort of the video that you're about to watch. I'm not going to make this long. Just to state that this is the first video in a series of sort of Let's Play Dungeons & Dragons type things. It's 4 of us. I'm DMing a campaign for 3 of my friends, playing Vengar the human, Zontar the tiefling, and Iron the dragonborn. I'm not going to tell you a whole lot more other than that. So maybe some videos in the future discussing what has brought their characters up until now, but all they know is that they're on the same cart together and they've been bound and gagged by goblins and drow. And we're going to pick up here. I'm going to chop up. I mean, clearly most of these play sessions will probably be 2 to 3 hours. And I'm going to chop those videos up into daily bite-sized portions, probably like 10 to 20 minute portions. So yeah, you could subscribe if you want and watch these on a daily basis. If you're as big a nerds as we are, and you would watch Dungeons & Dragons on YouTube. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. So thanks for watching, and bear with us. Most of us haven't played D&D for a couple years, if 4th edition at all. So it'll be a bumpy start, but we'll get the hang of it. Thanks.
Vashi's on the table now.
Oh, and there's Vashi's on the table, so that's perfect. Ironlung, are you in the table right now?
Yes.
Okay, so we're all here, and I think we're recording, and we're streaming, and this is all good.
Just want to apologize ahead of time. I'm kind of getting a little sick, so if I'm coughing or
fuck.
I think
to mute my mic if.
Are we gonna play that like into the story?
maybe.
just keep your distance.
I was gonna be like Fashi. I was gonna be like, well, you're the one, and then I was like, no spoilers. Okay, so I've muted all. Okay, I think we're good to go. So, for the benefit of those watching, these 3 characters don't know each other, and the players know each other vaguely, but the characters don't. But they all have gone through previous experience that has brought them up to where they are now. And all 3 of you know that experience that you've gone through, so I won't spoil it for each other. But you do all know that you're bound and blindfolded and have been thrown in the back of a dirty wagon by your captors, who have been a few couple, like we're talking 2 drow who've been commanding a small army of goblins, probably from what you saw within the region of maybe 10 to 30 of them. So you've spent a period of time in the back of this wagon. You're not sure exactly how long, as you've been blindfolded. They've given you no food or water. Any attempts that you've had to communicate with the other people in the wagon has been received with prods by either the drow or the goblins to be quiet through the wagon. You're tied to the bench that you're sitting on, and like I said, you're not sure how long you've been traveling without food or water, but regular stops have been made along the way, followed usually by screams, either by more prisoners being thrown into the wagons with you or taken out. The most disturbing stops being the ones made at night, where you can hear prisoners being removed from the cart, closely followed by the smell of cooking meat, but you don't remember any animals being part of the caravan when they first captured you. So I'll kind of let that sit where it is. In the middle of, it's different periods of time for the 3 of you. On some of you, it's your 2nd day. On some of you, it's your 4th. Or you're sort of guessing. You're unsure of how long you've been traveling, but you hear a commotion erupt around the caravan, which hasn't been so native, like the sound of commotion, except screams that you would expect. Half of them are goblins, and they're mixed in with the sounds of a great many horse hooves stomping around the carts and shouts of masculine human voices. You have been terrified up until this point and have been very previously wary, but you get the vibe that maybe now is the possibility that it would be a good chance to try and escape. Does anybody have any sort of predetermined concept that their character wouldn't try and escape from this situation? Or at the sounds of the goblins running away, do you think everybody might try and free themselves from their bonds? Anybody can just jump in here with...
Yeah, I think I'd attempt first to sort of gauge whether or not the people who were previously prodding me to to shut up are folks that are still in the immediate vicinity. So sort of make a little bit of a commotion myself to try and get someone to
I can kind of cut you off before you even do that, in that any little noise and commotion that you're going to make is completely dwarfed by the sound of the commotion coming from outside. Okay. That you could probably be speaking to each other at a regular volume, and nobody would hear you save for those inside your cart.
Okay.
Do you guys want to try and get loose or speak to, like, do you want to shout out to who's in the cart with you, or...
I'd shout out and start trying to loosen my bonds immediately.
Okay.
I think I'd probably try to see if anybody had a blade on them to cut the bonds.
Yeah. Okay, so...
I am straight just trying to...
You're just
rip free.
Tearing away. Okay, so you three, I mean, you do hear each other's voices in the cage inside, so you can tell there's other prisoners in there with you. What I would like you to do is... Nobody's got a blade, by the way, Zontar, or everybody's bound. So why don't you choose to roll either an acrobatics or an athletics check as to the nature of how you're going to get out of your bonds. I'm not going to tell you the difficulty. I'm just going to tell you to roll on your own. Either athletics or acrobatics. You can choose. Go ahead. All three of you.
I don't know how to do that.
You go to your skills tab on your character, and you look at your acrobatic score or your athletic score, and you hit the dice right beside it.
Mine's like grayed out.
Hold on a sec. If you go to skills, it's grayed out.
Oh, herp derp. It wasn't on my character.
Okay, this is good. It's funny that you all chose athletics over acrobatics. So all of you managed to just essentially brute force your way out of the ropes, as they were kind of rotted goblin ropes. Especially Iron Lung, who rips up half of the bench with him. Sort of, knocking Zontar onto the floor as he, pulls up the entire bench along with him. So all three of you, managed to get out of your bonds and rip your masks off and sort of the remainders of the bonds around your wrists, which light for the first time on your eyes in 2 to 4 days is sort of shocking and blinding, and takes you a moment to sort of grab your bearings. There's complete bedlam going on around you. There's goblins scattering left and right, but what you hadn't expected to see, or what was sort of foreign to what you had expected before, is there's mounted and armored men on horseback, sort of working tight formations around the goblins. They're in like full black polished plate armor. The two drow that we're commanding, the goblins, seem to be making a very intelligent and hasty retreat, as you sort of just spot them drop globes of darkness on the riders closest to them as they rush off into the forest. I'm going to show you now. So here is your cart. And as you can see, it was sort of just big enough for the 4 of you. Don't move yourself.
You said he knocked me off the bench.
He did. Hold on. So you guys were side by side. So the The cart itself is a wooden cart on the bottom, and it's a metallic cage on top that is quite locked. But you can see in either direction because it is just sort of a cage on top. So I'm going to show you this. So you can see just to the west of you, there's a forest, quite a dense forest. There are riders. Where's my draw function? Let's see if this works. So there's riders kind of like riding up here, you know, working a formation, killing an orc or goblin, and then riding further north again up here. You know, riding patterns around here, just fighting their ways in and out, this and that. Clearly attempting to aid your cause. There is a lock on the gate, and you guys can tell there's goblins diving left and right, but they are becoming more and more uneasy with, like, they're aware that you guys have gotten out, and you can see they're sort of like pulling spears and noticing your cart again. You could try and do something with the lock. You have found, by the way, that most of your gear was stowed under the benches that you were tied to.
I'd probably ask the Dragonborn to try to break it. He looks pretty tough.
That is a very astute and accurate observation, Zontar.
Judging by the state of the bench.
Yeah, exactly, right? So Iron Lung, he turns to you and says, essentially, quick, break the lock, break the lock. How do you want to go about that?
Well, first we're getting re-equipped, right?
Well, your gear is under you, so you could take the time. I mean, it's up to you if you want to just grab a weapon or if you want to try and take the time to put your armor on. That could consume a bit of time. It's sort of up to you as to what you feel is worth your time and effort.
Well, I'm gonna grab my sword.
Sure.
Which
priority?
I'm just assuming that it's probably too big to swing inside of the cages.
You definitely couldn't get a real full swing on it. You may be able to try and sort of like just straight jab at the lock, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna do that.
Okay. Why don't you make, let's say, another athletics check in that regard. Let's say that's probably enough for a rusty goblin lock.
Nice.
So you do smash the lock. Actually, I'm going to say that you smash the lock, and it does shatter, but as you go to push against the door, you discover that it's got a lock, but it's also got a like a deadbolt type thing up top and on bottom that you hadn't seen. So you did success with the lock, but you see the goblins closest to you start to sort of make their way in. Just as one of these goblins is starting to get really close to you with his spear, there is a rider that rides up along in this direction. And just as he's going by here, takes a swing at the deadbolt hinge type thing with a giant executioner's axe with a giant clang that sort of like shakes the whole cage and doesn't even really slow. He just sort of like laughs and looks to the three of you and then sort of like tramples by this goblin before heading off to the north. The way that they're going all the way north is they've sort of chased the majority of the goblins up in that direction, and you can tell the riders are sort of like cleaning them up there. So the door is now wide open, and I want a perception check out of all three of you. So go ahead and roll perception.
I think I saw it.
That 4.
Where am I? Is this real life?
Hold on. Okay, so you guys, I assume, are going to hop out of the... Tell me what you're going to do.
I think I'm gonna take my armor and hop out, and weapon, of course.
So, I mean, kind of preempting that a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my shield, and I want to do two things. One is do I recognize the riders like by crest or standard or
No, you guys aren't
no?
very familiar with the area. You're not entirely sure where you are.
Okay.
That's a good question.
Okay.
Make sure that you guys are checking tells, by the way, in Skype.
Yes, I have it.
Oh,
I have
okay.
it open here. Yeah.
Just making
So,
sure.
yeah. So, and the other thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab my large shield, because I suspect it's going to take a while for everybody to get their gear on and ready. Grab my shield.
Fully armored right now is not really an option. You're right. Like maybe I
Yeah.
think Iron Lungs maybe started to throw his tunic on or something like that, but that's about... Forget about like pants and arms and this and that. Throw your tunic on and call it a day. Yeah.
I literally
Yeah.
have a weapon strap and a kilt.
Yeah.
That's like what I'm wearing. So
Yeah.
I'd probably just strap my weapon. That's about all I could do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And for me, I'm just grab my shield, and I mean, did these guys just spears? Is that what they're using?
Yeah. Yeah. The daggers, like short swords. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just kind of like panning around. I see the goblin approaching from the north. Ready my shield in his direction, then glance off to the west and see. Think I see something in the trees. Kind of tap the giant dragon thing on the shoulder.
Sort of
And
draw his attention to the trees.
yeah, and point towards what I think I see is another enemy in the trees there.
Yeah.
I then pick up my sword and sort of
Okay.
that's where I'm at this point.
I think Zontar had managed to get his way out here, and you guys are sort of just dealing that last little bit there. So I'm gonna show you guys as you get out a little more to see. That rider that had sort of ridden by you guys, you hear him just sort of shout off as he's chasing after more goblins. If you ain't gonna run, you better take care of those archers. So he sort of shouts back to you and keeps going on. As you do sort of look out, you do see towards the east what he's talking about. The three goblins that are sort of were running away and are now sort of rallying a little bit are carrying short bows. And I guess I'll show you maybe like this. That's good. Yeah, it's midday, sunny out, forest edge. So that's probably kind of what you need to see like that. Okay, and we will now just sort of state the fact that this is where combat's going to start. There's not going to be any surprise.